Hello, everybody. Today is the 1st of December, 2022, and this is the first dev meeting after we graduated. So yeah, let's just start with positive vibes there. Cool. So as usual, we start by going through the maintainers focus board. So in the meantime, while I'm doing that, it would be great if folks added items to the agenda. So in the meantime, let me share my screen and we can crack on. All right. So since the last dev meeting, in terms of the Bootstrap GA, which is our first GA milestone, we've done those things. So refactor fuzz implementations to support Go native features. So I think the only one that was missing was source controller. There were quite a few issues there, so that is now resolved. So across all the controllers and package as well, we are using Go native. I'm going to cover this. Oh, actually, let me tick that box. I will cover a bit more about fuzzing later on today if we have the time. But yeah, it's just good to see that that is now done. Fix end-to-end Azure DevOps. I think this was a duplicated item I created, so yeah, we can ignore that for the time being. As part of the refactoring, I think we skipped, or we didn't merge at the time, the tests for the proxies in terms of GoGit and libgit2. So for GoGit is still in flight, and I think we're going to merge that soon. Yeah, that's there here. And then for libgit2, we're also adding support for custom proxies, which is part of this. But again, libgit2 is being deprecated soon, so don't count on that feature for much longer. Yeah, this is one of the issues that I also wanted to kind of cover that is on the agenda. Is one of the issues that we found as part of releasing the version 0.37. And I think we have yeah, there we go. So folks using recursive or recursive modules, they would be experiencing that if, once they migrate to 0.37 onwards. So this fix is not released yet, but we will cover the other ones in no time. The other issues that we have pending. There are a few more items that we've done since the last meeting that are not necessarily directly involved with the first milestone. I think we closed this. There are some changes we've done today, which is pretty much to use, to use servmax for specific features instead of sharing that across features within the controllers. So that is done. That was done today, and this is part of a bug that we're trying to get to the top of as well, which is sometimes image automation controller is creating empty commits, and it goes, it doesn't error or anything. It just creates loads of empty commits into the repository. So that is one of the problems we're having right now, which we committed into our custom GoGit fork, and we're trying to kind of get that into the upstream as well. This is an old issue about all the intermittent crashes we had with libgit2, and pretty much, the idea is to kind of close this anyway as we decommissioning libgit2. So yeah, removing that there. Cool. I think those were the key things that we've done in the last while. So we can go direct into the first agenda item, which is Terraform provider status update. So Phillips, you can take the stage.
Yeah, so just wanted to kind of mention that I have changed the PR status now from being a draft to being a real actual PR. I forgot what the number was there. It's pretty low. It's 332. Yeah, would love any input. It's taken me a long time, big issues regarding the new Terraform plugin framework and stuff like that. But it's really getting to the point where I have some worries when it comes to some parameters and properties and how they will look in the future. But it's getting to the point where I actually want some eyes on it. Um, and hopefully we can get this merged at least as a release candidate or something before end of this year, as it solves a lot of problems that the people have with installing or bootstrapping Flux with Terraform. So just want to like kind of put it out there. Yeah.
Brilliant. Is there any specific thing you want to highlight from the PR? I added a link here for folks to have a look. I'll try to have a look later as well today.
The issue is that it's very big. It's basically a complete new Terraform resource that takes care of the full bootstrap process. So no more for each loops and dependency chains and weird circular dependency warnings from Terraform. So it simplifies the bootstrap process down to just a single Terraform resource, which is why also there is so much code, and it for the most part shares just a lot of the code with the actual bootstrap command from the CLI. But there are details there that kind of are Terraform specific that kind of mess things up. But just having a look, like just looking through, even though you don't kind of understand how Terraform providers work, just having a look at the, let's see here, the resource bootstrap git file, which contains most of the logic there. It's kind of self-explanatory. There's like a create, read, update, and delete function. So there are some, I guess, go get specific things there also. So just having a look at that file, seeing if there's anything that just pops out that's immediately like, yeah, this is obviously very wrong. Any help there would be great.
Brilliant. And in terms of end-to-end tests, we definitely have something that, you know, kind of would cover the previous behavior and the current one. Sorry, I'm like absolutely new to the Terraform provider. I haven't played with that before, so.
So what I've done is that I've written, so Terraform providers have this idea of like acceptance tests, which are like some sort of kind of mixture between like end-to-end tests and like some sort of integration tests. The solution that I'm running right now sets up a kind cluster and Git server per test basically, and then tests like HTTP bootstrapping, SSH bootstrapping, importing, customization overrides and stuff like that. So I'm trying to, I know there are some edge cases, some weird stuff that actually might think, I think there are issues in the actual, it's kind of an issue with like deletion fails when the Flux system namespace has been deleted by somebody else, for example. But the issue is in the Flux Bootstrap CLI because the uninstall process doesn't throw errors. It just logs the errors. So it just passes through them and that's fine. But the issue is now that we're also returning the errors, the Terraform provider goes, yeah, something bad has happened. So I'm just going to stop now. So it's like those kinds of things, like I have to write some couple of more tests for those types of edge cases, which I have in a backlog list of doing. But I've tried to add as comprehensive tests as possible that covers most use cases.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'll try to have a look today. Otherwise, tomorrow I'll try to spend some time on that.
Yeah. Great.
Brilliant. Anyone wants to comment anything about that?
Is this something you're looking for specifically code feedback on, or are we ready for end user testing, or?
Code feedback right now. So my idea is basically get code feedback, merge this with a note that basically says this is currently under beta or whatever, to get user feedback. And then when we're happy, remove that and go, yeah, no, this is production ready.
Okay.
Yeah, and I must say also the work that's been going on with GoGit has really saved this provider, if you want to say that, in the sense of removing all dependencies towards libgit2 and having to do any type of work there. So that's been also really fantastic and really helpful to speed this along a lot. Great, I think that was all.
Brilliant, cool. So let's cover then the next items. I have quite a few items on the agenda, so I'll just share my screen again and kind of go through them. So yeah, I wanted to first just kind of go quickly over some issues that we found since we released the 037, because this is the critical path to, you know, the first GA milestone. So just kind of go one by one there. So we found two issues on image automation controller. One is about users complaining that the resource consumption is, you know, has increased since they migrated to the latest version. I would assume that would be the case, especially when you're talking about metrics for Go, but not overall metrics. And the reason for that is now that we're using GoGit, all the memory we're managing is Go memory, as opposed to, you know, having C memory and Go memory separated. Either way about it, what we've done was we created a new feature flag, which is git shallow clone. And what it does is pretty much does shallow clones. The users have, you know, they have tested this so far, and I've been running this on my machine for a week now. Pretty much, you know, everyone confirms that it's a lot lighter. You know, again, you're only downloading the first commit, you're not doing the whole history. And on top of that as well, I don't know if you guys can see my screen, because yeah, I just got a notification that you guys can see my screen now. Well, anyways,
you can see
so the key, you can, right? Okay, thank you. So the key thing on this is, you know, it's going to be opt-in most probably, and then we see how it goes, and eventually this could be an opt-out feature once, you know, more people play around with it and so on. So that's one of the issues. Another one, we're still investigating, so it would be great if other folks try to reproduce as well. And basically is image automation controller is creating multiple empty commits, and yeah, we can't really pinpoint why or in which scenarios. There's only this user that is complaining about that. I've tried quite a few things. Sanskar tried a few things as well, and so far we just can't reproduce. And even going through the logs is really hard to understand why this would be the case, especially because it just goes and tries multiple times, like to push those changes that doesn't exist. So yeah, it would be great if folks can have a look and try to reproduce. Then I have another two issues. So one is from source controller and is about, you know, recurse submodules. Again, it's quite niche. I don't think many people use this. Sanskar created a fix for it, and we release a release candidate. So again, if you know anyone experienced this kind of thing, please refer to this. We should merge this reasonably soon. It's just a matter of, you know, testing a bit more, make sure this is not breaking anything, and then getting that shipped. Cool. And the last one is around the CLI. User reported recently that you know, using the same command that they were using before is now actually, you know, issuing errors. This is related to the refactoring and all, you know, the changes we've done recently, and also to some changes on GoGit upstream. So Sanskar is looking into this, and hopefully soon we'll get a version that will fix this. Again, if you guys experience anything on the latest versions, it would be really, really cool if you could highlight to us ASAP, because we want to make sure that GoGit is 100% stable across the board before we can effectively decommission libgit2. So that is that. I wanted to, as a separate topic, talk about fuzzing. We had some issues recently in which changes upstream stopped all our CI fuzz builds, and due to that, I kind of went across and tried to do all the changes we needed in order to make sure that we won't have those issues again. If there is a problem, if anything breaks, it should break both upstream and on our projects. So the guys upstream, part of the Google OSS fuzz, can actually identify those issues and fix before they actually reach us. So I've done quite a few changes last week. So the majority of the work related to upstream are now in place. Just to highlight, so before we were doing a lot of change locally, right? So each one of the projects would have a build file, pretty much like this one here, in which it would go and try to identify any sort of fuzzing test that we had within a given project, and then it would just build it, all those files, all those tests, which it would then later be used to run the fuzzers. Now what I've done instead is actually create a generic script that is upstream. And what it does is it does the same as before, but the main difference is it calls pre and post build scripts. And that is because some of our repositories have very specific requirements. So for example, when you're talking about image automation controller and source controller, we need to download libgit2, we need to set up a bunch of variables and so on. So what we do on this specific repo, let me see if I can actually open the file here to make it a bit clearer, is we download all the repositories, because again, this is going to run all the fuzzers across our ecosystem. And then it runs the build later across all the things we have here. So if any one of those projects have a pre or a post build script, it will just get executed automatically. We don't need, the build script itself on each one of the projects. So the core of that is done. It's pretty much working. What we need to change now is this part, rely on upstream discovery build scripts. And this is for our CI. At the moment, each one of our projects has their own make target, and that make target runs our local script. Let's call it that way. So this guy here, the smoke test and the build as well. What we want to do is actually change that and make sure that we are only using upstream. So everything should come from upstream, and we should stop executing all this. Well, the build and the Docker builder, all they should go. Again, we're not there yet. So in the meantime, if you see any CI fuzz check failing, just let me know. But most of them should be broken anyway, or I'm trying to get them fixed within the next few days. Any question about fuzzing and how we structure or anything around the subject? All right, so let's move on. I just wanted to quickly just cover again some changes we're doing on GoGit upstream. Some of those were merged already upstream, others actually just one is not. Overall, just wanted to highlight they're being great at feedback and quite timely merging things. The average is being like a day or so, so that's pretty good. One of the things is the add collision resistance implementation of SHA-1. I think I mentioned this before, but basically the Git CLI and libgit2 has that implemented. So if they identify the specific file is being added, or a specific commit on a given repository is trying to do a collision attack, this SHA-1 resistance would change that commit ID, so it wouldn't actually work the attack. So this is now merged. We haven't shipped anything on our controllers with this yet, but we now have that updated on package. Actually, we don't have that on the package yet. We should update that, I think, between today and tomorrow. So that's coming really soon. Another thing, as part of getting things in a better state in GoGit, we are updating the dependencies. All of that we already done on our fork, but it is again just closing the gap between our estate and their estate, so we can stop using our own fork and just rely on upstream. And last but not least, this is related to the research that we were doing today, about empty commits. This is not merged yet. They asked for a small change, which I'll get on soon. And the idea there is pretty much be able to error instead of committing empty commits. At the moment, if you don't add any files and you just commit, you won't create a new commit, a new Git tree. You pretty much use the previous one, and you just add a commit that is absolutely empty, which in most of the cases it doesn't make much sense. So yeah, that would be great for us to identify issues like the one that we're having on image automation controller. Cool, that is it from GoGit. Any question around those GoGit updates or anything?
Yeah, I have it's not a question, but it's like more of a PSA. So thing is, so when we switch to your SHA-1 collision detection library that uses Sego, so now all the things that didn't need Sego are going to need Sego if they import GoGit. So that includes the Flux CLI, the package Git. They're all like the GoGit package is not going to need Sego, and that's why the build is failing right now, because it's going to need Sego.
Yeah, no. So okay. All right. So the issue with the build is related to ARM v7. So it's ARM v7 specific. So at compilation time, ARM v7 does not support C-long type. All right. And for C-long in ARM v7, it needs to be C unsigned integer. So I fixed that already on my library. So that is already fixed. We don't need to worry about it. As soon as we merge, as soon as we bump into the latest version, which is 0.2.1, that would work.
No,
Sego.
I tried that. So right now I tried that using I tried using the new 0.2.1, and what's happening is, so if you look at the current build, what will happen is that we need to run generate manifests using controller gen, and there is an explicit environment variable that we passed Sego enabled equals 0 because of libgit2 issues.
Yeah.
So if you pass Sego enabled equals 0, it will fail.
All right, I can have a look on that specifically.
No,
but
it's
overall,
it's not a big deal. I can just make sure that libgit2 has its own thing and GoGit has its own thing. But yeah, if like you need to flip the switch is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good point. So overall, just to highlight why we have the Sego there at the minute, and the key reason is on Sego, or this implementation is faster, right? When we're not considering any sort of like processor optimization. I plan to add some, processor optimization just to kind of get the same kind of performance that we have on the default SHA library. The only problem is, given that Git will be hashing a lot of big values, we'll have like a dramatic performance take if we decided to, not use the SQL version. So for the time being, that is an issue, but that should, go away hopefully soon.
Yeah, cool.
Cool, brilliant.
Just want to highlight that.
Yeah, very good point. Thank you for highlighting that. I'll have a look on the places that there might be an impact as well. Cool. I think that I covered all the points I wanted to cover. I think the last item on the agenda right now is with Stacy. Do you want to take over?
Hi, everybody. Sure. So yeah, with graduation yesterday, congrats, by the way. Thank you all for the hard work. And I mean, it's because of you all that we're where we are right now. So yeah, with graduation yesterday, we wanted to invite the community. So if anyone's out there watching this after we posted it, we want to invite you to join us for a couple of like graduation celebration, ask me anything sessions with these folks and a lot of others that aren't on the call right now. To just kind of celebrate and get any questions answered that you might have around the project or the direction or the roadmap or anything like that, really. So I have put them in the agenda notes on December 7th and December 8th. We're going to be holding those. We're basically going to just add on to our existing scheduled dev meeting for next Wednesday, and then next Thursday is the bug scrub. We're just going to kind of add on to that as well with Kingdon and other folks. So congrats, everybody. I know it seems like, this huge climactic experience, and then it's like, okay, back to business as usual, but let's take some time to celebrate next week because it's really, really a great achievement, and congratulations, everybody. Scott, did you want to add anything? Are you good?
I mean, just like an amazing amount of enthusiasm. That's,
Yeah, totally.
It is kind of funny. It's like, when do we bust out the champagne?
Next Wednesday and Thursday, although it might be early for some folks. But that's okay. We'll have something with sparkles in it at the very least.
Cool. Yeah, super exciting.
So,
yeah, thanks to Daniel in large part, who's not here right now, but who many of us spent a lot of time on this, but it was one of like his primary focuses for about a year. So and to all of you. Yeah, so cool.
So yeah, please refer to the notes for those links where you can find all that information. It's also in our calendar on the website.
If there's time for one more thing, I wanted to just raise that quickly. Last that meeting, I don't remember exactly, but I brought up the point of implementing RFC4 and how that's blocked by Helm upstream because they don't support pulling from insecure registries. So yeah, I just wanted to see if there's any update on that so that we could move forward with that. Yeah.
Yes, there is. So Andy, Block, Soule, I was going to say Max, possibly. He had been working on a few things too, but I think for insecure registries, primarily it's those two, and I'm involved a bit. Basically, the important thing was that there were several different approaches, and there were different pieces of this that were added in various PRs, and they just needed to work together. So it's looking really good. I think Andy is about to open a PR with the combined work. So I will.
Okay.
Yeah, I will actually drop a note in our DM there and just remind us all to let you know. when that's up. I believe it's on a branch that was already pushed to the Helm upstream project to
Okay.
Helm.
Okay.
So I'll get that branch name and I'll let you know so that you can actually start looking at it even before the PR is up.
Awesome.
Nice. Anything else anyone wants to bring up? Okay, so we'll probably cut this one short then. So thank you everybody for being here today, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye.
Okay,
Bye, everyone.
see ya.